Yes, sir.
You understand a plea of true or finding of true. On my behalf, I can revoke your community supervision, sentence you up to 20 years in prison.
Yes, sir.
The state.
Proceeding on violation of condition number 19 in Bexar County, Texas, the defendant Kenneth Dominique Deckard did then and there fail to comply with the instructions of the Bexar County Community Supervision and Corrections Department as set forth by the court, and that the defendant failed to submit to a drug urinalysis test for the months of January, February, and April 2021 in violation of condition number 19.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
True.
Condition number 20, on or about the 18th day of May 2021 in Bexar County, Texas, the defendant Kenneth Dominique Deckard failed to participate in Battering Intervention and Prevention Program in violation of condition number 20.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
True, Your Honor.
The state waives and abandons the other allegations.
What's the recommendation?
Judge, we do not have an agreement. We are going to open to the court. The state's recommendation at this time, after a brief argument, would be to revoke him and sentence him to 9 years in TDC.
TDC, okay. Without, before I ask for any witnesses or anything like that, what's defense asking for without argument? Just what are you asking? Continue on?
Continuance, Your Honor. Yes, sir.
Continue. Let's continue. Is this first, second, third MTR state?
Second MTR, Judge.
Second MTR. Okay. Any witnesses from the state or defense?
Not from the state.
One witness, two witnesses from the defense, being Miss Lisa Campos, and then the defendant himself.
Okay, go ahead and call your first witness.
I'd like to call Miss Lisa Campos.
Bring her in, Gabby. Let's see. Julie's, okay. Okay, Ms. Campos, can you hear me? Okay, we can't hear you. They're connecting to audio.
Okay, I can hear you now. I'm sorry.
Okay. Let's turn the camera down a little bit so we can see your face. There you go. Okay, raise your right hand. You swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Mr. Jimenez, you can go ahead.
Yes. Ms. Campos, is it true that your mother is Kenneth Deckard's godmother?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So how long have you known Kenneth Deckard?
His entire life.
His entire life. What do you know about his childhood, the way he grew up, his family situation?
It was never the best. His mother was friends with a cousin of mine, and I was so young that I don't really know exactly how it went, but I don't think she was ready to be a parent per se. So that led to my mom taking him in. So we really grew up as siblings. And this is an infant. He came to live with us. And he was with us for quite some time. His mom even notarized letters, giving him to my mother. So we did, I haven't formed that bond with him early on. And then just as he got older, things changed. He wanted to have that relationship with his mom. And so he did go back to live with his mom, but it was never really steady or stable or very healthy for him, because his dad had his own legal troubles, and his mom just it wasn't the best growing up for him, because they were kind of just everywhere, moving around and different things like that.
Hey, let me ask you another question, please. Did you know him to be a caring person, a loving person, or a hateful, spiteful person? What did you?
No, he's always been caring. He's always had a big heart. He's always been kind, do what he can for people. Like I said, growing up, he kind of didn't what his mom, growing up, his childhood, how that affected him for a brief second in there. Being a young adolescent, he didn't really know how to let out his emotions or channel them.
Can you give a specific example?
As
How old
far
is
as like
this-
in
this
school and things like that, I mean like younger in school, like
Okay.
probably like early middle school, elementary school.
The
He
state
would
of
get
Georgia
into,
at this time to relevance and just the form of the question, I think it's improper to give an example of his character.
Okay, yes, rephrase your question, defense.
Yes, I'll move on, Judge. Did you know him to be a violent person?
No, not at all. Never. I've never seen him. And I mean, this is being in as far as like with people he went to school with, or people, you know, once he got older, had girlfriends. I mean, I have 2 children myself. He's been around little cousins. I've never, ever, ever seen him, you know, and even I've never seen him physically hit anyone. Like, he's not that type of person. Even with my kids are kind of rowdy. They're, you know, they're young, they're 1 and 4. And even still, when they get, you know, how sometimes kids can get, he doesn't ever even get upset. He just, you know, will tell them, you know, things that they're supposed to do, redirect them, kind of things like that. I've never seen him get upset with his own children. He even has little younger siblings, and never, like, he's really not that kind of person. He's more of a, come on, let's go play ball. Let's go, you know, he does things like that with the kids. And then
All right.
even though with adults, he's more likely to just walk away from a situation than act on something.
All right. Are you here before the court hoping that Mr. Deckard will be continued on probation?
Yes, I am. And I also am committed to doing whatever I can to support him, be it because when he does get out, he will be working. He already knows that for certain, be it, you know, taking him to work, picking him up from work. You know, he has my full support as well as my mother's support. So yes, I do feel that should be an option for him.
Okay, Ms. Campos. Nothing further, Your Honor. Pass the witness.
Defense. I'm state, sorry.
No problem. Ms. Campos, what is your godmother's, I guess the defendant's godmother's name? What is your mother's name?
Giselle, her first name is April, like the month. Her last name is E. Z as in zebra, E as in elephant, L as in lion, L as in lion.
Giselle, okay. And then are you aware of what Mr. Deckard is on probation for?
Yes, I am.
You're aware that he shot the mother of his children in her back?
Yes, I am.
And you'd still characterize him as kind and never ever being violent?
Yes.
And you're aware that he's been on probation and kind of the terms of his probation?
For the most part, yes.
How often do you see him?
I see him probably, I would say probably 2 to 3 times a week. Yeah, that's probably a good average.
Okay. And does he resides with Ashanti Yarborough, correct?
Sorry, I didn't quite
Does
hear
he
the
res-
counsel. I didn't hear the name. Resides.
Ashanti Yarborough?
And your answer, ma'am?
You're asking me if he resides with her?
Yes.
No, ma'am.
Where does he reside?
Last I knew of, he was residing with his grandmother, which would be his mother's mother.
Okay, no further questions.
Okay. Defense anymore?
No further questions from the defense either, Your Honor.
Okay, okay, thank you, Ms. Campos, you're excused. Next
Okay.
witness.
Next witness I would call Kenneth Deckard.
Okay, Mr. Decker, raise your right hand. Swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead, defense.
Mr. Deckard, what are you asking the court to do for you this morning?
I'm asking to be reinstated on probation. I'm willing to commit to any extra stipulations, tightening the screws of, reporting twice a month, doing scheduled UAs twice a month, things of that nature. I'm willing to accept multiple classes besides the BIP, things like that.
If you were to get out, if you were to be reinstated, pardon me, by the court, would you have a job?
Yes, sir. I would. My biological mother's the GM of Popeyes on Ritterman. We've conversed a little bit over the phone as I've been incarcerated. She has explained to me that if I'm able to come home, she's willing to give me a job as a manager.
Okay, and would you have a place to live if you were reinstated on probation?
We also spoke about that too. I think it was be in my best interest that I would reside with her. That way I'm able to get to work consistently.
Okay. Backing up a little bit, while you were on probation, were you employed in any way?
I was employed with, I was working NEDRP. Previously, that was the reason why I had motion to revoke. My work consisted of me traveling outside of the Bexar County guidelines. And that's why I had the motion to revoke. I was going to juveniles board meetings in schools, talking to kids, talking to teachers about what I go through and what I'm currently on probation for, trying to steer them from not coming.
What do you have to tell the court about the violations that you pled true to, one being the UAs and the other being the BIP, of course?
Mr. Jimenez, he said that he's talked to youth or he wants to.
Oh, Mr. Decker, would you repeat what you said about what you were doing as employment? You were talking to youth, or you wanted to talk to youth?
I was talking to youth. As a group, it was older adults, and since I had recently graduated, my part was to talk to the younger kids, like 8th grade and up.
And what was the mission?
The mission was just to get across the message that, a kid that has been charged or is on probation, whatever, so to speak, of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, that you can do something still positive, and you don't have to be in that poverty mindset.
Yes, sir. Now, what would you say about the conditions that you pled true to, one being the UA's failure to test and the other being the BIP failure to complete?
The BIP was failure to completion because at the time when I did have the job, it was sort of like a father-son relationship. We got into a disagreement about, money, and then I had no longer worked for him. So that caused me not to be able to continue to be able to pay for, the BIP class and things like that, of that nature.
Okay. And what about the issue with the UAs?
The issue with the UAs, I just want to take full accountability for that. I wasn't consistent on that, and
Okay.
that's why I was asking if it was possible to have 2 or scheduled UAs.
So you would be willing to submit to additional or random testing or any kind of drug-related testing that the court might wish to impose on you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you promising this court that you are going to find employment and keep employment and comply with all of the court's requirements?
Yes, sir, I am. Yes, sir, I am.
If you are reinstated on probation, will you succeed?
Yes, sir, I will. I have a second daughter on the way, and I am finna be 21. So now I understand the nature of responsibility, that I can't continue to do this and also support my kids.
Right. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Yes. Mr. Deckard, I just want to ask a little bit about that job you had. Was it with a person or an organization?
I was with the person, the Kevin Curtis, as we speak of. He was my principal at one point in time for middle school. We kind of rekindled when I was a sophomore, and until I graduated, I was working with him. And then as I graduated, he kind of considered me as an adult, so I was able to do a little bit more in the work I did.
When's the last time you did that work of going to a school?
It probably would have to be I want to say maybe like right after the time I got MTR'd, a little bit after that, the first time.
About September of 2020?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, okay. And what schools were you going to? What school did you go to?
We were in like the Arlington area. We went to um,
Arlington, Texas?
yes, ma'am, Arlington, Texas, Houston area. We would kind of stay in those guidelines. I never was able to leave the state because I explained to him that if I left the state, that I'm pretty sure it would be, you know,
And were you given permission to leave the county during those times that you were
no,
in?
ma'am.
Okay. And let's talk about the fail to submit. You said you take responsibility.
Yes,
Was
ma'am.
that because you were still smoking marijuana?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
And this is, you understand, this is your second MTR.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
The last time you were asked to complete BIP or at least enroll within 5 days, but
Yes,
that
ma'am.
didn't happen, correct?
No, I did enroll. I just didn't complete it. I did up to 10 classes. It just became hectic to get to and from and to afford it.
The state, when was that MTR and what did he plead true to?
That was
first one?
August 27 of 2020, pled true to not reporting. He was altered and amended for a 10-day jail sanction, monthly UAs, BIP, and provide proof of residence at that time.
How many months did he not report back then? Or did he plead true to?
Are you asking me, Your Honor?
I'm asking the state.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Trying to see, because I kept you on, or we kept you. Would have probably been me there in August, kept you on probation.
Sorry, Judge, I'm having a little hard time hearing.
I'm sorry, I kept you on probation back in August. I'm trying to see what you pled to true, and now your second MTR is a 19 and a 20.
It was a fail
Go ahead.
to report either in person or through Zoom for June, July, and August of 2020.
Okay, and then he was sanctioned, and now we're on the second MTR. Okay, go ahead and continue.
No further questions.
Okay, anything, Mr. Jimenez?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Deckard, you're aware that there are some pending cases against you related to an alleged assault of a Miss Ashante. I'm blanking out on her last name now. Are you aware that that's the case?
Yes, sir. I was aware when I came in here and I seen the magistrate judge.
And what would you like to tell the court about those cases?
I'd like to tell him like it's not true that I feel like, sometimes, we have conversations about the past, and and she knows my situation that I'm in with you guys, and so it's easy just a snap of the finger to call and those allegations, use those against me. So I do feel like she has repented on those things. We're still in a relationship together, boyfriend and girlfriend, and we do have our second kid on the way. So
Would you say
is there allegations? Is there another charge pending? Another?
Yes, Judge. The state waived those allegations, but defense has asked about them. So there are 2 pending assault cases at Night Mags. One of them is an assault strangulation a second degree with an offense date of April 29, 2021. The other is an assault family second from January 19, 2021, all involving the same complainant as well as.
They're just pending right now, not indicted?
Just pending, Judge.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead, Mr. Jimenez.
Yes, Mr. Deckard, when you said you used the word she repented, can you explain what you mean by that word? By using that word, what did you mean by that?
We've communicated as I've been in here, and it's been said and numerous times that she's apologizing for taking me to that. She's actually been my only support in here, supporting me with money and things like that. So I do feel like, there's times where she does support me, and that the things are not true.
All right.
Mr. Jimenez, the state already waived those, so if you want me to start considering all that, new allegations, I don't think you should start.
No, I don't. I was gonna pass the witness.
State.
I do pass the witness, John.
Okay, state.
Yeah, Mr. Deckard, So I just want to ask, you've been in contact with Ashanti Yarbrough while you've been in custody?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
Okay. And it's your stance that she's making false allegations, is that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so don't you think it'd be a good idea not to have contact with her anymore?
As far as I mean, maybe continuing forward, but I just was really worried about my kids, and she's pregnant right now, so I would just call and contact and ask about those questions.
Pass the witness.
Anything?
Mr. Deckard, my last question is, if the judge were to continue on probation, would you take your mother up on her offer to house you and provide you with a job?
Yes, I would.
Okay, no further questions, Your Honor.
What's the recommendation from the probation, Alex?
Revocation.
Like the new charges that they didn't go forward on, is that?
Sorry, Judge, can you repeat that?
Is that because the new charges?
Well, also, this is his second MTR and he hasn't been complying. He's continuing to use marijuana. And with the 2 assault cases, it's a combination of everything.
Okay. All right, any other witnesses?
No, not from the defense, Your Honor.
Okay, argument. Go ahead, defense.
Yes, Your Honor. We are asking the court to reinstate Mr. Deckard. His work during the time that he was on probation was actually inspirational speaking and motivational speaking to kids from the 8th grade through high school. He was doing well with that until he had a falling out with his boss. And I believe that's what led to his downward spiral. He could no longer afford to pay for the BIP classes, which is why he dropped out of the BIP classes and continued his drug use, which he's already admitted to. If reinstated, he does have a place to live. We heard earlier testimony that when he was younger, his relationship with his mother was not the greatest, but at this point, they do have an understanding that he's going to have a roof over his head and a good position, good wage position, managerial position at Popeyes. So he'll have what he needs to pay his bills and stay on track. It is my opinion that he got off track because he lost his job and just couldn't afford the classes anymore and spiraled down into a position where he was in non-compliance. But if he can keep a steady job and have a roof over his head and not have to worry about those variables, I believe that he will complete the probation successfully.
Yes, Judge. The state's recommendation is revocation. We waived the assault counts because we believe there's sufficient violations for the court to follow revocation. Mr. Deckard has been given several chances, the first being even placing him on deferred for this type of offense. A deadly weapon was utilized, somebody was shot, the mother of his children was shot and injured, had to be hospitalized. She continues to have children with Mr. Deckard, and so he was given a chance at deferred. That was his first chance. His second chance was in August when he was MTR'd for not reporting, for not doing BIP. A lot of the same things he's still continuing to do. And so we do not think Mr. Deckard is a good probation candidate. The facts of the underlying case warrant prison as it was. And we have support to revoke Mr. Deckard's probation.
Okay. How long has he been in jail, Brandy? How much time?
45 days, Judge.
45. And on the original plea, did he get a jail as a condition of probation or no?
Excuse me, Mr. Deckard, could I ask you to please mute yourself? I'm having a difficult time hearing you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I don't know if you can look that up, Brandy.
Yes, he was 10 days jail sanction back November 19th, and that was satisfied November 19th.
I'm saying the original plea, though. The original, when he first pled, was that, or is that the MTR?
I have the original conditions, and he doesn't have a jail sanction.
So no condition of probation as from the beginning.
I don't have any jail sanction. Just the one that Brandy said.
Okay. Let's see. Mr. Deckard, heard from your attorney in the state, and you obviously are cutting it close. You can hear the state wants to send you to prison for a long time, and that's a deadly weapon, 3G. You would have to do half the time before you're even eligible for parole. It's a close one, but I looked at these reports, and it's obviously a bad thing that somebody got shot, your girlfriend, but it does show, I remember this back when you pled, it was an accident. You know, we're looking at the gun, everybody that was in the car said it was an accident. Still somebody was hospitalized. And then on it's your second MTR, looks like the UA's BIP. I will tell you, if they had brought the assault charges, and I found those true, I would have no problem sending you to prison. But since those were abandoned and we went on these 19 and 20, or they did, I'm going to continue on deferred. See, accept them, find them true on 19 and 20, but I'm going to sanction you to 120 days in Bexar County Jail. All right, and you got to do that BIP or sign up for the BIP within 30 days when released. Let's see, I'll give you credit. It's day for day. It's a sanction. I'll give you credit for the 45 days. So whatever's remaining off that, clerks, the 120 minus the 45 days credit. All right, good luck, Mr. Deckard. You've already had 2 MTRs. Again, you're lucky that they didn't proceed on the assault, and you don't want to come back and be looking at that 20 years. It's a long time, okay?